But first, India has long been touted as Asia's next economic superpower. However, its development is being held back by a huge shortage of basic infrastructure, a fact laid bare by last month's massive power blackout. Investment of fully $1.2 trillion is needed over the next 2 decades, 6 times current and planned spending levels. And India's biggest cities are feeling the problem the most. India correspondent Richard Lindell reports from Mumbai.
Mumbai is a city in a hurry. Here Bollywood movie stars mingle with India's newly minted millionaires and those dreaming of joining the nation's rich and famous. Like no other Indian city, Mumbai has cashed in on the country's economic emergence. All that money and glamour and an unmatched pace and energy are powerful attractions to migrants and locals alike.
I love the pure energy of the city, like everything's buzzing and there's never a dull moment in the city. So that's what I really love. And everything, the food, the people.
It's all about traffic in the mornings and traffic in the evenings and nothing in the middle, but yet a city that never sleeps. A city that has grown a lot over the years, a city that completely defines or defies what any other city in the country is.
Mumbai generates 6% of India's GDP, and incomes here are 3 times the national average. But the economic development has come at a cost. The traffic here is horrendous. It's one of the most noticeable signs of a city that's failing to keep up with the pace of development and growth. A lack of housing is another. Apartment towers are replacing older buildings and slums, but at nowhere near a fast enough rate. Developers blame ad hoc planning and poor governance.
We are trying to redevelop this property. Here there were 3 buildings, occupying about 45 tenants.
It's a frustration property developer Dheeraj Shah has endured firsthand. His company cleared this large inner city block more than a year ago, but work has been delayed by endless red tape and bureaucrats creating and recreating the rules at every turn, a standard ploy by those seeking a slice of the action.
For everything, whatever files we have to clear, so they need some obligation. Without obligation, no files would be clear in India. So that is the major setback, which we are facing right now.
So everybody wants a cut?
Everybody wants cash, everybody wants cash.
Dheeraj Shah is far from alone, and the net result is a lack of affordable housing for Mumbai's burgeoning middle class. In a pattern familiar to more developed economies, the middle class are now moving to the suburbs.
Come on, come in. This is our living area. We have an open space. We have a fantastic view.
Fed up with a lack of amenities and short commutes that would end up taking hours, Perveen Chana moved to the suburbs a few years ago.
Life was becoming a little bit difficult. We had parking problems. We didn't have a 24-hour water supply. Electricity was never a problem. And we didn't have a lift. And all facilities are available over here. We have a swimming pool. We have a joggers park. So health-wise, fun-wise, mental peace, the burbs are much better.
While the middle class is moving out, poor migrants continue to move in. 60 million Indians make their way to urban centres every year, and nearly all of them live out their lives in slums like this one. Hima Dhanraj Gowda got married 2 months ago to a migrant from Karnataka. His work as a driver provides a better life than they would have had in the village, although Hima says quality of life is relative.
In a way, Mumbai is good to live in, and in a way it's not good. And the negative point is that pollution is high, which affects health. Even though it affects our health, we at least manage to get some money to live on.
India will need to spend more than $1 trillion on infrastructure over the next 2 decades to meet basic needs of water, roads, public transport and affordable housing. At risk is not just the livability of major centres, but also the country's future economic growth. Consulting firm McKinsey has published a detailed report into urban infrastructure needs and found state and national governments plan to spend just 1/6 of what's required.
That way our report is quite alarmist. We are saying that cities are creating 70% of your jobs, 70% of your GDP, okay, and basically the whole economic vibrancy is coming from cities. But even more than economic growth is the livability that will get affected first, which you're already beginning to see. Is a traffic jam, water issues, slum proliferation, and so on.
McKinsey estimates that 90% of India is yet to be built.
There is a whole set of opportunities. Obviously, there is $1.2 trillion of investment required. And even if you say conservatively, maybe we would not spend that much, you will spend 50% of it, then you'll still start spending about $600 billion of investment.
Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has set a target for $1 trillion in investment over the next 5 years, but just $200 billion of that is earmarked for cities.
Short term, I'm not optimistic, but I'm optimistic on a 5 to 15 year perspective, because India has normally, when its back is against the wall, okay, has delivered, because the citizen pressure and overall pressure goes dramatically up.
The challenge for the government will be to ensure productive investment and a break from the corrupt and inefficient practices of the past, which have become a trademark of modern India.